Kirk Cousins to the Raiders, Kyler Murray to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's look into all these rumors out there. So, word on the street is Kirk Cousins might be going to the Raiders. Interesting. They are looking for a veteran backup for Fernando Mendoza. And I said backup, but actually he might be starting in the first year. There are some rumours that the Raiders want to sit Fernando Mendoza for the first year, which is crazy to me. The first overall pick sitting out their first season. They want to learn behind someone like Kirk Cousins. I'm sure Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and a host of other quarterbacks would have loved that opportunity as well. If you're drafting someone number one overall, you have to believe that he is ready to start in the league. That is my take on it. If you're drafting Fernando Mendoza and, hey, wow, big news, the Raiders are drafting Fernando Mendoza. Like, no one knew that. Everyone knows that. Even if you're not interested in football and the NFL, you all know that Fernando Mendoza is going to the Raiders at 1. So interestingly, we got Atlanta Falcons paying $10 million next season for Kirk Cousins, but he will still want to be paid by the Raiders or any other team. Now, I'm saying the Raiders because that's where people think it makes logical sense. There isn't any other team except for the Steelers and the Vikings right this second. The only two teams yet. So the Steelers and the Vikings are the only two teams that don't have a starting quarterback yet for next season. All signs point that Kyler is going to the Vikings and that Aaron Rodgers is coming back to the Steelers. So if that's the case, then there are no other openings for Kirk Cousins. You could say he could go to Cleveland Browns, but what's the point? You've got to give Shedeur Sanders a chance, and also he might be a backup to Deshaun Watson. He's getting paid crazy money, so let's get him out there and let him play. Let him earn his keep. Then you've got the Raiders is the only other option people are talking about because the Raiders are looking for a veteran. And that makes sense. That makes logical sense. But how much does Kirk Cousins want to be paid? He's going to get $10 million anyway. He's going to get a minimum veterans contract of $1.3 million. However, he'll want much more than that. I imagine he'll want an extra 10, if not $15 million on top of that from the Raiders just to be in the building. Now, if there's any sense that he's got that he may start the season, then he'd probably want a lot more than that as well. So then can the Raiders actually afford him is the question. Now, I'm just speaking, as in what I'm seeing. These are just rumors out there. It does make sense that he goes there to mentor Fernando, but also it only makes sense if you are paying the minimum for him. If he wants a big contract, then you forget about it. Get another QB into that room. There's plenty of others on the market that you can get in there to help support Fernando Mendoza. The problem is if they want to sit Fernando Mendoza as is allegedly being thrown out there, I don't know if there's any truth in that or not. But if there's truth in that, then that's a worry. I can understand why you would want to sit Ty Simpson because he's not ready yet. But if you're telling me Fernando Mendoza is not ready, then that's a big flag. Fernando Mendoza has a massive pass in this draft because everyone thinks there's no one close to Fernando Mendoza. So no one scrutinizes him. No one really is giving him any roses or anything. Everyone's anointed him and just gone, who cares about Fernando? Because essentially he's going to be number one, so who cares? The good, the bad, the ugly does not matter. He's number one, move on. I don't personally agree. I think in other years he would have been lucky to be a second round pick. So I get the fact that he won't start in his first season. I can understand that. But you're talking about an number one overall pick. If that's the case, then why did he, I don't know. I was going to say, why didn't he pick later on in the draft? But you can't really. You have to take it number one. But that's very annoying. To me, he's not the best player in the draft. And if you're getting Kirk Cousins in there, is he going to be willing to sit as a backup or to come in for 1 year and mentor him and then become the backup the following season? Probably not. So it's probably a 1 year stopgap for Kirk, which might be what he wants. he might want to get paid like 30 million, so 20 from the Raiders, 10 from the Falcons, and then go into media next year. He's actually very good as a pundit. Now, all of this is garbage coming out of my mouth right now because I'm just trying to compute all this in my brain as I speak. So some of this will not make sense. Some of this you'd be like, this guy is off his rocker. And you know what? I probably am off my rocker. But essentially, it's bizarre to me if you give Kirk Cousins a big contract and have him on the start the next year and then say, we're going to, rest Fernando Mendoza for you. I'd rather get Ty Simpson then at later in the first round, if that's the case. Because I think if Ty Simpson sits for a year, I think if Ty Simpson was 6'4", we wouldn't even be having a conversation about him being a second rounder. We'd be having conversations about him potentially being the number one pick in this draft. I would personally have him ahead of Fernando if he was 6'4", but he's not. So, that's a theory we can't really throw out there and judge him on. So I would rather pick the best player available or bunch it together and try and go back and make someone like the Jets overpay or make the Browns overpay, even though I think the Browns won't overpay. I don't get it. If you are the number one pick in the draft, you should be starting, is in my opinion. It's just bizarre to me. If you're saying that he's not ready, then I think next year you've got probably 4 or 5 better quarterbacks than Fernando Mendoza coming out that you could probably pick up. I just don't know. It's food for thought. I just think that in line with next year's quarterbacks, with our prediction, Fernando Mendoza would struggle to be a first round pick, in my opinion, based on what we know. Now, saying all this, we had Cade Klubnik as a top 10 quarterback last year, predicted. And look what happened to him. He regressed this year, and he'd be lucky to be a day 3 pick this year. So it's not apples to apples either. You do have to pick somebody on what you know now, and rather than prediction, which is why everyone thinks that Fernando is ready right now, which is why it's surprising to me that people in the media saying he may not start his first year. I can understand Ty Simpson not starting his first year. He's not ready. But Fernando, no, you're saying he's ready. Play him. Anyway, there's that one. Then you've also got Kyler Murray. Now, he's visiting Minnesota Vikings on Thursday, the 12th of March, in the time of recording this. He has also been allegedly talked about with the Steelers as well. So Aaron Rodgers still hasn't committed to the Steelers. So when Kyler Murray came out and said that he wants to talk to more teams, I was like, what teams? There are no other teams out there, Kyler. You're literally, the Vikings are the only other team, unless you want to sit for the season. But however, I sort of forgot that Aaron Rodgers still hasn't committed to the Steelers. So the Steelers might have an opening. So is that going to be more attractive to him? I don't see how. I think the Vikings is the most enticing and the most attractive proposition out there currently. Not, Mike McCarthy with the Pittsburgh Steelers is a really good QB coach as well. Don't get me wrong, but Kevin O'Connell in that system with the players he has, around him, people are saying, "Oh, it'll be a competition with JJ McCarthy." There's no competition with JJ McCarthy. Kyler Murray would be the starter next year if he signed with the Vikings. So this talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't buy it. I don't get it. I do understand if Aaron Rodgers says no, you then got 2 options. What do you think about Will Howard? Is he your guy? And I think that Aaron Rodgers has said he's a really good player, and I think Mike McCarthy getting a job would probably have said similar. I actually think that Will Howard is a similar build, similar player to Fernando Mendoza. And, that's me being honest. I think he is a similar build. And wasn't Will Howard a day 3 pick? That's how highly I think in Fernando Mendoza. So if Will Howard can get there, he's sat now for a couple of years. I think that he will, especially behind Aaron Rodgers, I think that will be a great move for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he is a starter if Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back. It's either that or they're picking up Ty Simpson in pick 20. Then you just got to hope he falls to pick 20, unless someone tries to come in on him early. And I don't think they will be now. I think Ty Simpson will go later on in the first round, if not the second round, purely because the Jets have now got Geno Smith, and I think they're going to be satisfied with that for the next couple of years. They want experience, unless they think that they can develop Ty Simpson. So we should be hearing a lot more in the next couple of days, but I just want to spout all that out to you all right now because it was on my mind. We'll see where they end up, but where else is Kirk Cousins going to go? I think it makes sense that he goes to Raiders. I don't see him as a fit anywhere else. Everywhere else has a starting quarterback. So I guess watch this space and see what happens. I don't know. Anyway, with all that said, please like, please subscribe. If you can subscribe to the channel, that means that this channel will hopefully grow then with your contribution. If you don't like the channel, that's fine. Dislike the video. That's still engagement. It still helps the channel out. But I prefer it if you did like it. With that, I'll chat you out. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Have a great one. Ta.